Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Yvonne and in today's video I'll be showing you how I make GIZDODO. GIZDODO is a Nigerian dish made out of gizzards and plantain that is stewed together in a peppered sauce. So if you'd like to know how to make this delicious dish, keep watching. There are 4 main parts or steps to making GIZDODO. Firstly, prepare the gizzards. Secondly, you'll need to fry the plantains. Then the third step would be to make the spicy pepper sauce. And then finally, you'll need to combine the gizzards, plantain, pepper sauce and garnishes all together. In order to prepare the gizzard part of GIZDODO, you will need chicken gizzards. And here I have a medium-sized bowl of chicken gizzards. You will also need 1 onion in cooking the gizzards, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 Knorr chicken stock cubes, a tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning, curry powder, thyme, a tablespoon of dry pepper or cayenne pepper, a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of salt. Now I like to use sea salt as it's a healthier option than regular table salt. In order to prepare the peppered sauce for the GIZDODO, you will need 6 red bell peppers or tatashe. No tomatoes are used in this recipe. Now you'll also need 3 Scotch bonnet peppers or atarode. Now these are spicy so you can adjust to suit your tolerance. To blend the peppers, you'll need 2 white onions, 2 cloves of garlic, a thumb-sized piece of ginger and half a red onion for cooking the pepper sauce. Now to season your sauce, you will need some Knorr chicken stock cubes, all-purpose seasoning and salt. Now you're also going to need a cooking spoon of ground crayfish, palm oil and vegetable oil. Now the palm oil just makes a difference and sets the whole dish off. Now you're also going to need 6 ripe plantains, also known as dodo. And finally, to combine the whole dish together, you will need 4 coloured bell peppers, 1 red onion and 2 spring onions. Firstly, begin by thoroughly washing the chicken gizzards, ensuring you remove its yellow lining. And here I'm just adding the gizzards into the pot I will use to cook the gizzard. Now with the hob on medium to high heat, add in 1 chopped onion and also 2 cloves of garlic. Now adding garlic is a good trick to remove the unpleasant scent of offals. Next, it's time to season the gizzards. Add 2 Knorr chicken stock cubes, a tablespoon of curry powder, a teaspoon of dry pepper, a tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning, thyme, black pepper, and a teaspoon of sea salt. As you can see, I'm not adding water to my gizzards just yet. I want all the seasonings and spices I added to penetrate the gizzards first. So I stir the gizzards on high heat with no water and I leave this to do its thing for about 5 minutes. So after about 5 minutes, you can see that the gizzards have plumped up a bit and have cooked in their own juices for a while. So this is when I add freshly boiled hot water. So you want to add enough water to cover the gizzards. Now you want to leave this to boil away until all the water has dried up. So here I'm just showing you the gizzards cooking and boiling away. So after about 25 minutes, you can see that almost 50% of the water has been taken up by the gizzards and now the stock is slightly thicker, but it's still not ready. Now the gizzards have been cooking for approximately 40 minutes and they're done. So you can see that all the water added has completely dried up. So next you want to cut up the gizzards into bite-sized pieces. but make sure they're not too small as they're going to shrink a bit during frying. Now it's time to cut up the plantain. So for GIZDODO, you need to cut the right plantains into quarters. Now for this recipe, I use 6 plantains because as you can see, I've cooked quite a lot of gizzards, and I generally don't cook dishes in small quantities as I have a small family who like to eat loads. Now it's time to fry the cooked gizzards, so I'm adding enough oil for deep frying. I will also be frying the plantains in the same oil. Some like to fry the plantain first so that it sweetens the oil, and then the gizzards, but I find that in doing so, the plantains would have dried up and won't be as moist when it's time to add them to the peppered sauce. So here I'm just adding the first batch of gizzards to fry on medium to high heat. After about 7 to 10 minutes, this is how the gizzards should look like once fried. Perfectly browned, however not too dry and not too crispy, unless you have chewy gizzards that are too hard to eat. So here I'm just frying my second and last batch of the gizzards in the same way as the previous batch. So now it's time to fry the plantains. So you want to fry them in the same oil as the gizzards. Now using the same oil gives the plantain a delicious, savoury and sweet flavour. So now you just want to leave the plantains to fry. Now this should take roughly 10 minutes. And remove once the plantains have fried to a lovely golden yellow-brown colour. Okay, so here I'm just frying my second and last batch of plantains in the same way as the previous batch. So now it's time to prepare the peppered sauce for the gizzards and plantains. Now to a blender or food processor, add in 6 red bell peppers or tatache, 3 Scotch bonnet peppers or atarodo, 2 cloves of garlic and 2 white onions. Now I don't use any tomatoes for this recipe as it makes a huge difference using only red bell peppers. Now to the blender, I also add about a thumb-sized piece of ginger. So I'm grating the ginger into the blender because I don't want a smooth blended pepper mixture. So since I need it to be rough and coarse, I need to grate the ginger so I can make sure that its pieces are as small as possible, as you don't want to be biting into ginger pieces. Next, add water into your blender jug. So since I want the pepper mixture to be rough in texture, I'm using the pulse function and pausing at intervals to make sure that I don't overblend. So I do this until there are no large pieces of peppers or onions visible. As you can see, the pepper mixture is rough and coarse and mimics a finely chopped up texture. Next, it's time to fry the pepper sauce. So begin by adding palm oil and vegetable oil to a pot or a pan. So while the oil is heating up, slice up half of a red onion. Now once the oil is hot enough, add in the sliced onions and begin to fry. And you want to continue frying till the onions soften slightly. Now add in the ground crayfish. Now this makes a huge difference to the irresistible flavour of this dish, so continue frying the onions and the crayfish till the bubbles reduce. At this point, add in the blended pepper mixture and mix well till the palm oil and peppers are well incorporated. Ensure your hob is on medium to high heat so that the sauce fries as much as possible instead of boils. After about 10 minutes, add in your seasonings. For this, I use Knorr chicken stock cubes, salt, and all-purpose seasoning. Now make sure you stir well. Now after a further 15 to 20 minutes, with the pot uncovered and the hob on high heat, most of the liquid should have evaporated, leaving you with a thicker, darker red sauce that has a slight layer of oil on top. So the sauce is now ready and you can add in the fried gizzards from earlier. Now stir well to coat all the gizzards with the delicious peppered sauce. Now you want to lower the heat and leave the gizzards to cook in the sauce for about 5 to 7 minutes for all the flavours to marry together. Now once this time is up, add in the fried plantains and stir all together. Now leave this to do its thing on medium heat for about a further 5 minutes. While this is going on, slice up your red, yellow and green bell peppers. Now for added texture, I like to cut some of the peppers in squares and some in slices. I also chop up 1 red onion and 2 spring onions. Now adding peppers, onions and spring onions to the dish gives that added bite and freshness which complements GIZDODO so well. This is when I add in the onions and peppers and mix well. After this, I add in the spring onions, and after a further 2 to 3 minutes on the heat, your GIZDODO is ready. And this is the finished result. Delicious GIZDODO. Chicken gizzards and plantain stewed in a peppered sauce. Pair with your favourite rice dish, or you could eat it on its own. It really is that delicious. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this recipe.